ever scrolled through social media and thought, how does Taylor Swift do it?
Yeah.
You know, like selling out stadiums, breaking all those records is kind of mind-blowing.
Totally.
So we were super curious about her journey, how she got there. So we dug into her story to figure out, what exactly launched her to global superstardom.
Yeah.
It was like, we got this, like, all-access backstage pass to her entire career.
And let me tell you, it's full of fascinating twists and turns, just like, one of her songs.
Right. Okay, so let's rewind back to the early 2000s for a sec.
Yeah.
Imagine young Taylor on her family's Christmas tree farm in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
You're probably picturing those, like, cozy holidays. Right?
Yeah.
But even back then, she was writing songs, like, at age 10.
Wow. It's pretty rare to have that kind of drive and talent so young. It really shows how much songwriting was a part of her, even from the very beginning.
Totally. And it wasn't just, like, putting pen to paper for her. She wanted to perform, you know?
Yeah.
Talent shows, those local fairs, she was out there, like, any chance she could get.
And her family's decision to move to Nashville, I mean, talk about a leap of faith.
Right.
They completely uprooted their lives, headed straight to, like, the heart of the music industry, all for Taylor's dreams.
Wow. That's serious dedication.
Yeah.
And it definitely paid off. At just 14, Taylor becomes the youngest songwriter signed by Sony ATV, which is, let's be real, that's almost unheard of, especially in, like, the crazy competitive music industry.
Oh, absolutely. It was a clear sign that people in the industry saw her raw talent, even at that young age. But this is where it gets really interesting. Enter Scott Borchetta, this music executive who hears something, something truly special in Taylor's music.
It's like that classic scene in a movie where, like, the music executive's jaw drops and they just know they found a star.
Exactly. And that moment
Yeah.
led to Taylor becoming Big Machine Records' very first artist, which,
Wow.
talk about a pinch me moment, right? Especially for a teenager.
Yeah, totally. And then, just a year later, at 16, her self-titled debut album drops. I can still remember hearing Tim McGraw and Teardrops on My Guitar for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
They are everywhere.
Everywhere. And it wasn't just, those catchy melodies. Her lyrics about, like, heartbreak, those teenage dreams, it resonated with, like, a whole generation.
Yeah.
Especially young girls who felt like Taylor was, like, singing directly from their diaries,
That makes sense, right? Like, you can totally see why so many young girls felt that way.
Absolutely. Her songwriting, it struck a chord because it was so relatable. It was real. She wasn't afraid to be vulnerable, to share those universal experiences of growing up. And then came Fearless in 2008.
Yeah.
Not only did it completely dominate the charts,
Huge.
but she wins 4 Grammy Awards, including Album of the Year.
Which at the time made her the youngest artist ever to receive that honor, right? I remember thinking, okay, this girl is, like, seriously here to stay.
It was a defining moment, for sure. The music industry and fans, they realized Taylor wasn't just some passing trend. She was a force to be reckoned with. But as she got more and more famous, her music also started to change. Take Speak Now, for instance.
Yeah.
We see her taking more control over her creative process, writing every single song on her own, and she starts to experiment with a wider range of emotions, different sounds.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
That album definitely showed how much she'd grown as a songwriter.
Yeah.
And it gave us some massive hits like mine, Back to December.
Oh, yeah.
But then Red came along.
Yes.
And it felt like she dove headfirst into those pop elements. She even brought in, like, dubstep influences into some of the tracks.
Yeah, Red was like this bridge, between her country roots and then, like, the pop icon she became.
Right.
It's full of these, like, raw emotional moments, those songs that just hit you in the gut, like, all too well, which totally cemented her ability to, like, tell these incredible stories through her music.
Yeah.
But then came 1989. Talk about a full-blown pop explosion. Shake It Off, Blank Space? I mean, that wasn't just music. That was a whole cultural moment.
It really was. Everyone was doing the Shake It Off dance.
Yeah.
That album was massive.
Huge.
But, before 1989 completely took over the world, there was that, like, infamous incident, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
At the VMAs with Kanye West.
Right, the 2009 VMAs.
Yeah.
Talk about a trial by fire, right. Having to deal with something like that in the public eye.
Intense.
For those who maybe don't remember or weren't, tuned in at the time, Kanye, he interrupted Taylor's acceptance speech.
Yeah.
And it became this huge controversy. It was everywhere. Like, every media outlet was talking about.
I remember watching it live, and I was just like, how is she handling this so well?
Right.
It could have, like, totally derailed her,
For sure.
But she, like, used it She used that experience to fuel her music.
It really shows her resilience, for sure. But the thing is, with that level of fame
Yeah.
comes a lot of scrutiny, constant pressure, relationship dramas, public feuds, and it's all amplified by the media. It's got to be tough to navigate all that, especially, when your life is constantly in the spotlight.
Absolutely. And it's so interesting to see how she's channeled those experiences, those difficult times, into her art. Take Reputation, for instance.
Yes.
You can hear that, like, darker tone, that
Yeah.
edge to it. Like, she's kind of reclaiming her narrative after years of having her life picked apart by the media.
Exactly. It's like she's saying, you think you know me, think again.
Right.
But then, just when you think you have her figured out, right,
Yeah.
she goes and drops Lover,
Yes.
which is this, like, vibrant romantic album. It feels like a love letter to self-acceptance, to finding joy, even after heartbreak.
It does.
Really showcases her range as an artist.
Totally. She can be, like, fierce one minute and then completely vulnerable the next.
Mm.
Playful, introspective, often within the same album even.
Right.
It's amazing. And then, like, right when the world needed it most,
Mm-hmm.
the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
she gives us not one but two albums.
So
Folklore and Evermore.
good.
It was like this, like, unexpected hug.
Yeah.
You
It
know?
was. It was brilliant, honestly, to step away from, like, the pop spectacle
Yeah.
and embrace this, like, indie folk sound
Yeah.
that felt both familiar and completely new at the same time.
It did.
It proved, yet again, that she just can't be put into a box.
Totally. And then there's the master recordings situation.
Oh, yeah.
Which felt like, I don't know, like a power move.
Yeah.
And not just for her, but for, like, artists in general.
Right.
What was your take on that whole thing?
It was a huge deal, honestly. A lot of people, they don't realize that owning your master recordings is like, it's like owning the original blueprint to your music.
Yeah.
And when her earlier albums were sold, well, she lost control of those masters,
Right.
which is huge for an artist.
It is. It's their art,
Yeah.
It's their creative work.
Exactly. So for Taylor to, like, go back and re-record all those albums,
I know.
it sent a huge message to the music industry.
Right.
It was like, hey, artists, they deserve to own their work.
Yeah.
And they deserve to benefit from its success.
Yes.
It sparked a really important conversation about artists' rights,
Totally.
And she used her platform to, like, actually empower others to stand up for themselves.
Totally. And you have to admire that. Like, the guts it took to basically re-record her own musical history.
It's incredible.
That wasn't just like a business decision. That was deeply personal.
Oh, for sure.
And through it all, she never stopped.
Yeah.
She never stopped creating, never stopped evolving.
Right.
Her recent Eras tour is like the perfect example.
Yeah.
It's this celebration of her entire musical journey.
It really is, from those early, like, country hits
I know.
to those stadium-shaking pop anthems. It's like this living, breathing timeline of her whole career.
It's amazing.
It makes you think about, like, what it really takes.
Yeah.
Not just to achieve success, but to, like, actually sustain it over such a long period of time.
Especially in, like, such a tough industry.
Right.
Like, the music industry is notorious for, like, chewing artists up and spitting them out.
Totally.
And she's managed to do it, and on her own terms.
Yeah.
She's constantly pushing boundaries, reinventing herself.
Yes.
That's, like, the true mark of an icon, don't you think?
Absolutely. She didn't just, like, evolve with the times. She shaped them.
So true.
From that vulnerable songwriting to those, like, bold business moves, Taylor's journey is like a masterclass
Yeah,
in using your voice, owning your narrative.
it is.
And she's given so many young artists, especially, the confidence to do the same.
Totally.
She's living proof that you can be, like, a commercial success and a critical darling and still stay true to yourself.
And that's Taylor Swift's journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talent, resilience, and the power of taking risks, creatively and for, like, artistic freedom.
Mm.
It makes you wonder.
Yeah.
What's next?